What do we have here? You seem to still have your wits about you. Unlike every other undead in this forsaken place, they've all hollowed, I'm afraid. It's been quite a drag for business. I've been thinking of taking off and setting up shop somewhere else. But now and then a few stragglers come along with more than enough souls to spend. And what's more, they usually die before they even get out of the burg, so I lose nothing. I've amassed quite a collection of wares. In these parts, things have been getting awfully treacherous. A horrid goat demon has moved in below, and above there's a humongous drake, and a bull demon too. If you stick around this place, it might just end up being your grave. Unless, of course, you prepare appropriately. I've got things that can help you out. I've got things that will keep you alive. Well, keep you from going hollow, anyway. What do you say? Wanna have a look? Very well. Let's start with the basics, shall we? With what you've got, any number of these hollows are going to tear straight through you. I've got some armor here that you might make quite good use of. First, to protect that precious head of yours, I have this chain helm. It is made of thin interlocking rings of steel. It is common throughout the human world since it can be easily produced. It is not too heavy and offers good defense. I don't know who you were, but if you were ever a knight, I know the chainmail might be to your liking. Knights favor the flashy armor, but any warrior on the battlefield knows that anything is fine as long as it will keep them alive. Beggars can't be choosers, can they? Going along with the helm, I've also got the armor and the leggings. Practically the whole set, minus a few bits and pieces. The helm and the leggings will run you 500 souls each, while the armor costs just a bit more at 800 souls. I also have this, gauntlets. They're a soft leather and pretty common in terms of protective gear. They're also quite durable. They'd be 500 souls as well. I'll let you think on that for a little bit. Now, of course, the next thing to consider, right behind your defensive armor, is your offensive weapons. What do you prefer when it comes to vanquishing your foes? Stabbing, hacking, slicing, or maybe bludgeoning? Still finding your way? Yes, you certainly look like you haven't held a weapon in some time. Did you perchance come from the asylum? I thought so. Well, let me show you what I have, and tell you the pros and cons, and maybe you can weigh your options a bit better. The first, a small yet formidable weapon, the dagger. It doesn't take much strength to use a dagger. It's light, and it's fast, and it is easily concealed and carried. This is but a standard small dagger. It does modest damage, but it can be jammed into your enemy with rapid succession. Because of its weight, it won't slow you down, or take too much of your stamina. With a dagger, you can perform both a slash and a thrust, which is helpful in many situations, especially in tight spaces where a larger weapon may be rendered obsolete. My personal favorite benefit of the dagger is that if you wait for just the right moment, it's easy to come up behind your foe and drive it into the base of their spine, dealing a fatal blow. Obviously, the downsides to this weapon would be its lack of range. You do have to get rather up close and personal, and perhaps that's something you're not very confident in doing. And while you can attack in rapid succession, the blows may not be as fatal as something stronger, and you could be easily disarmed and dead. But if you think you would fare well with this dagger, it would only cost you 300 souls. Moving on, we have a short sword for 600 souls. A relatively small straight sword, a weapon that is widely used. It's very accessible and inflicts consistent and regular damage. A slash attack with this weapon would be formidable indeed, and it is long enough to pierce the body of your foes without being so long as to hinder any movement. It provides excellent balance and can be easily wielded with one hand. A thrust/slash combination could be dealt to inflict extreme damage. It also gives you a little more range to work with. Not much, but it provides you with more than a dagger would, which would give you a better chance at dodging or disengaging your enemy. Although this is still a light weapon, it could not be handled as quickly or as rapidly as the dagger. Next, we have a very fine and unique weapon indeed. The scimitar, a very sharp and deadly weapon whose power lies in the form of slashes. This small curved sword inflicts little damage per hit, but its shape and design makes it so lightweight that it can be used relentlessly again and again in fluid chain attacks. The blade is very thin but very sharp, making it an excellent weapon against claw and flesh. However, the major downfall of this weapon is its weakness against armor or hardened scales. It will also not go through bone very easily. This is something I recommend you take into consideration when it comes to the types of foes you might be facing soon. But if this is still a weapon you think would fit well with you, then it can be yours for 600 souls. Next, we have a classic standard rapier, very trusted for a thrust. The real benefit of this weapon is that it is something you can wield with one hand, and because of the slender body of the sword, you can attack with your shield up. A formidable opponent is one who can deal damage and deflect it at the same time. And in the hands of a skilled warrior, this weapon can be one of the fastest and most lethal swords when parrying an enemy. Keep in mind, while the thrust is the main attack of this weapon, it makes it effective against hard exteriors, but because of the lunge, you will be left open and vulnerable after every swing. But if you think you could handle this, well, then it can be yours for 600 souls. Next, for only 450 souls, is something I'm sure is familiar to just about everyone. The axe. A small hand axe, to be precise, very reminiscent to that of a lumberjack's tool, but with a very ideal weight and strength. It is easy to handle. However, one wrong swing, and you will be left wide open. Your timing and your proximity to the enemy must be judged very carefully. Oh, now we have a real beauty here for only 350 souls. A weapon of my own personal making. A reinforced club. I took a standard measly club and improved it. You see the spikes here at the top. Even if you don't kill or bash your enemy straight away, the points are bound to do enough damage to cause them to bleed out. There's no getting away from this one. The price on this is a bit lower, because although it is a formidable weapon, it may not last long. So, you may have to replace it. But replacing a weapon is far easier than replacing your humanity. Wouldn't you agree? Alright, moving on. For 600 souls, I have a weapon that you would also likely be familiar with if you were ever a soldier. Your standard spear. Incredibly long reach, and just like the rapier, can be used with the shield up for simultaneous offense and defense. Very effective against hard exteriors, and can pierce through armor plates. And if you time it just right, your attack becomes critical, but the hit radius is small and so is easily blocked by an opponent's shield. Next, for 1,000 souls, I have something that no traveler should be without. A bow. Just a short bow, mind you, but a bow nonetheless. Never underestimate the value of a bow, or the value of being able to take out your enemies from a distance. And, of course, to go along with the bow, I have for sale your standard arrows, and some larger arrows. The larger arrows inflict more damage, but do not fly nearly as far. That is all I have to show you in the way of weapons. Have any of them particularly piqued your interest? You would prefer to think about it. Fine, you'll come around. I know you will. In the meantime, please do try and get through the burg without hollowing. You know where to find me. I'm sure after you've died a few times you'll wise up. Hopefully. Bah, who am I kidding? You're just like the others, thinking you can get through without so much as a scrap. Well, good luck to you. Be sure to collect some souls along the way so I can pick them off your corpse. Good day to you.